crypto investors are starting to get a little bit nervous because of rumors that quantum computing could potentially be the end of Bitcoin. Let me show you what I mean. Quantum computing is the next generation of technology. You could think of quantum computing kind of like a supercomputer on steroids to the 1000th power. All that means is that quantum computers can solve a lot of math problems very fast. Well, Bitcoin is built on the blockchain. This is a chain of a lot of math problems. So Bitcoin is protected or encrypted because it has a lot of math problems, and no regular computer can solve all these math problems in a way to actually break the Bitcoin or the blockchain. So you can think of Bitcoin as a very complex math problem which traditionally has been impossible to solve, and quantum computing is a very smart math problem solver. This is where things get interesting, because if quantum computing gets more advanced, it might have the ability to solve this math problem and break the blockchain and break Bitcoin. What does that mean in plain English? That means that potentially this person could break into your Bitcoin wallet and steal all of your Bitcoins. Now here's the thing. Quantum computing is nowhere near powerful enough to even begin doing this yet. And for full transparency, some Bitcoin advocates are saying even if quantum computing became powerful enough to break the blockchain, Bitcoin has fail safes to allow it to protect the hacking from quantum computing. But in order to really understand what's going on, you have to understand three things. Number one, you have to have a better understanding of what quantum computing is and how it works. And then number two, you have to understand how this quantum computing could actually potentially break the blockchain. And then I want to go over number three. If that actually were to happen, what would happen next? And so I want you to watch this video until the end, whether you hate Bitcoin or love Bitcoin, because this is very important for you to understand. And yes, I know this video is going to upset a lot of people, but I don't make these videos to get you to like me. I make these videos to be better with money, and I'm not making this to advocate for Bitcoin or against Bitcoin. I make this video for you to be a smarter investor and understand what's really going on. Now, to lay the foundation of what quantum computing is, you have to understand how it's different than a regular computer, because quantum computers are known for being supercomputers that can do infinitely faster math problems. But to understand what that means, you have to understand how regular computers work. Regular computers use what's called a bit. Quantum computers use what's called a qubit. And the reason why qubits are so interesting and so powerful is that they have the ability to solve multiple math problems at the exact same time, versus regular computers with regular bits have to solve one math problem at a time, so it's kind of slow. But that's just the beginning. The reason why quantum computers can become so powerful is because you can stack qubits together to solve multiple math problems at the exact same time at an infinitely faster rate, which you can't do with bits. Because if we stack multiple bits together, you can still only solve one problem at a time, versus here, if you start stacking qubits together, you can solve a ton of math problems all at the exact same time, which means you can do complex math problems in a much shorter period of time. Let me show you what I mean. You may have heard of a 128-bit computer. It's pretty common nowadays. Well, let me compare a 128-bit computer processing power with a 128 qubit processing power. This 128-bit computer has the ability to do one math problem at a time. But this 128 qubit computer has the ability to do 2 to the 128th math problems all at the exact same time. That's 100 with 36 zeros after it. This is how many math problems a 128 qubit computer can do at one time, versus a normal 128-bit computer can only do one math problem at a time. What that means in practical terms is what would take a normal computer billions of years, with a B, billions of years to solve, would take a 128 qubit computer a few seconds to solve. That means these quantum computers have the ability to solve complex problems infinitely faster than normal computers. You can start to see how this gets very complicated and how this can create threats for different pieces of the economy, for things like potentially blockchain. Now, if you're getting confused, just stick with me, because I promise it will all make sense. But what you need to understand is that quantum computing is infinitely more powerful than normal computers. And then if you tack on more qubits, it gets even more infinitely powerful. Now that we've laid the foundation for what quantum computing is, which I know is extremely technical, if you're a little confused, just stick with me. Let me talk about now how this could potentially create threats for things like Bitcoin or the blockchain. And this is also one of the reasons why on March 11th, 2025, I'm hosting a free, live, and virtual wealth building workshop where I'm going to be going over the changes that we're seeing in our economy from things like tariffs and Doge and Trump's economic policies, and also changes in technology and AI, and how these things can create unique investment opportunities, because the reality is all these changes create opportunities for the financially savvy, and that's what I'm going to be going over in my wealth building workshop. It's completely free. I'm doing it twice on March 11th, once in the morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then in the evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to join, you do have to save your spot because our software has a limited number of people that can actually join me live, and we always hit that limit or get very close to the limit. So if you'd like to join me, I got the link for you to register down in the description below. Now let me tie into how quantum computing ties into Bitcoin and blockchain. Remember, you can think of quantum computing as a very smart math problem solver. And Bitcoin / the blockchain is a very complex math problem. Now, the blockchain is a chain of very complex math problems, and it was believed that it would be impossible to solve because a normal computer to solve the blockchain would take millions of years, if not billions of years of math problem solving to actually crack the blockchain. So it was considered impossible to solve and break this blockchain, which would ultimately break Bitcoin. But now when you enter quantum computing, you can start to see where now that becomes a little bit more of a concern. But this is where, again, I want to break this down into pieces. If this is a very complex math problem, how smart does this math solver have to be? Meaning, how many qubits do we need in order for this math solver to be smart enough to solve this math problem? And so I did some digging online, and what I saw is that some sources said that we would need a 4,000 qubit computer, and other sources said that we would need a 4 million qubit computer that would be smart enough to be able to break the blockchain. You can see that this is a huge range, 4,000 to 4 million qubits. And the reason why it's such a huge range is because most people, pretty much everybody, including myself, have no way of calculating how much of this you would need to break that. But even if we stick with these assumptions that experts have created, how long will it be until we get there, and where are we today with quantum computing? Well, one of the most recent breakthroughs in quantum computing came by Google when they announced Willow as a state-of-the-art quantum chip in the end of 2024 with 105 qubits. So as of now, the top tier is about 105. But if we get to here, now we have potential risks to the blockchain. So based off of where we are today, technology is still nowhere near powerful enough to be able to break the blockchain. But the question is, will we ever get there? And if so, how long will it take? And this is where, again, I did some digging. And what I found is that some companies believe that we will see 1 million qubit computers within the next decade. And then IBM put out a report where they claim that they will have a 1 million qubit chip by the year 2030. Now, whether they actually achieve that in the time span is a whole different story. We'll see what actually happens. But it looks like we could potentially see a 1 million qubit computer at some point in the not too distant future. And by the way, as a little fun fact, to really show you the rate at which technology is accelerating, back in 2019, IBM put out this report where they launched a 53 qubit chip, and that was just 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, IBM was celebrating a 53 qubit chip. In 2024, Google is celebrating a 105 qubit chip, and now IBM is saying that maybe we'll see a 1 million qubit chip by 2030. So you can start to see that not only is technology accelerating, but the rate at which it's accelerating is also accelerating. So now you understand what quantum computing is, and you understand how quantum computing could potentially pose a threat to the blockchain. Now let's take it one step further and understand if quantum computing is smart enough to break the blockchain, what would happen then? By the way, if you'd like to stay up to date on what's happening in the top financial news stories like this, my team at Briefs Media publishes a free daily newsletter called Market Briefs, where we break down what's happening in things like the economy, stocks, housing, crypto, and the global economy into a fun, witty, and easy to read newsletter. And it's completely free, and you can read it in less than 5 minutes every morning. And I also have that link for you down in the description. So now let's play through this hypothetical. Let's assume it's the year 2030, or 2035, or 2040. And now we have these quantum computers with millions of qubits that are smart enough to solve the blockchain problem. Then what? Well, this would also mean that this quantum computer could pose a threat to our entire financial banking system. Now, of course, you bet that there would be a whole industry now trying to stop these threats, the banking system, fighting quantum computers with more quantum computers. But the blockchain still kind of leaves itself a little bit exposed because it's a math problem that everyone was hoping would never get solved. Well, at first glance, you might say the United States government should regulate quantum computing. That way, it doesn't end up into the hands of bad people in the United States. That way, your Bitcoin is protected and the blockchain doesn't get broken into. And sure, the United States government could do that, and they might do that, but that doesn't mean that somebody in China won't do that, or that China will not regulate against that. And we know that Bitcoin is not just a United States thing, it's a global thing, so you still have a threat there. Now this is where I don't want to get too technical, but Bitcoin / the blockchain has two different locks, two different encryptions, SHA-256 and ECDSA-256. These are abbreviations. You don't have to worry about what these are, but just understand that these are the locks on Bitcoin. These are the math problems that would have to be solved. And if these were to be solved by quantum computing with a super smart quantum computer, which I guess is theoretically possible if you have a 1 million or multi-million qubit computer, which I guess is possible at some point. If that does happen, then you would be potentially seeing these locks being unlocked, which could break the blockchain and allow people to hack into Bitcoin. But Bitcoin then has one more fail-safe mechanism. Remember, these are supposed to be the strongest locks in the world because a normal computer would take millions, if not billions of years of math computing to be able to solve the problem, to be able to break this chain. Quantum computing could potentially do it a whole lot faster if it continues to get more advanced. But if it does break this, it looks like Bitcoin / the blockchain has one more fail-safe. Based off of my research, Bitcoin has a system where if these two are broken into, then it would create a new lock, which is a quantum resistant lock. And what that means is it would then create an even more complex math problem now that this quantum computer would not be smart enough to solve, which then poses the exact same dilemma again. If we create now a smarter computer that's smarter than a 1 million or a 2 million or a 4 million qubit quantum computer, how long will it be until that math problem gets solved again? So you can start to see things start to get very complex. Things start to get extremely powerful and things start to get extremely confusing. But it's all a game of math where these computers are math solvers and the blockchain is a math problem. These are people trying to solve the problem. These are people trying to create that problem. And if the problem solvers can grow significantly faster than the problem creators, now you have risks to the blockchain, but that risk doesn't look like it's going to be anything that you need to worry about right now. But it might be something you want to think about for the long term. So now I want to hear about your thoughts. Is this something that you would be concerned about? Is this breaking of the blockchain something that you're concerned about? Let me know down in the comments why or why not. And if you're an advocate for quantum, let me know your thoughts about this because it is very confusing. And if you'd like me to make more complex tech / financial stuff like this, let me know about that down in the comments as well because I would love to hear your thoughts on that too. You have no money in case your car breaks down. You have no money to pay for your health insurance, and I'm assuming that you're putting no money aside to invest, to build your wealth. Now you can start to see the problem. Now here's the real catch that most people don't learn until it's too late. It's not your income that will determine if you become wealthy or not. It's what you do with your income.